Hi everyone, I'm Rachel and I actually studied theatre and film with Andrea back in the day, but I think I gave myself about a month to become the next Nicole Kidman. After I graduated, it didn't happen, so I swiftly moved on. Decided to try something quite serious, so I went and did a law degree. And I was quite lucky to land a job as a junior lawyer in my first few years out of law school as an associate to a judge in the Supreme Court, which I thought would be a really good role for me because it's sort of where the theatre of law is at. So it's, you know, watching trials, and the Supreme Court, as you know, is has the most serious offences, so murder trials and disputes worth, you know, $750,000 and up. So the gravity of the matters is high and the stakes is high. And my job was to be like the judge's wingman, I guess, and to run the trials, or what I call the shows, with precision. Very much like a stage manager, a director, so uber professional, and I felt really, really well equipped for it. And so shortly after arriving, the judge and I were getting along really well, and I thought, you know, great teamwork. And we got in for this morning's hearing shortly after I'd arrived, and there was just one man in the courtroom. And I played my role, which was to stand up and call the matter. So I called, in the matter, all rise, in the matter of Mr. Wing versus Mr. Wing. And Mr. Wing stood up and he said, "Your Honour, I appear on behalf of myself today, Mr. Wing." And the judge said, "Good morning, Mr. Wing. It appears that we don't have anyone here on the other side for Mr. Wing." And Mr. Wing literally was in his robes, and he sprinted across to the other side of the room, sat down, hopped up and said, "Your Honour, I appear on behalf of Mr. Wing." And so there was a bit of a pause, and the judge went, "Well, I'm a little confused. Mr. Wing, is that Mr. Wing on this side is your son?" And he says, "Yes, Your Honour. I'm appearing on behalf of my son." He said, "But you're suing your son. You're suing your son on, so you're suing him, but you want to appear on behalf of him." "Yes, he needed legal assistance, and I'm appearing on his behalf in a pro bono capacity." And the judge went, "In a pro bono capacity?" And he got quite defensive and he said, "Your Honour, he's very depressed as a result of this, and he doesn't have any money." And the judge said, "Oh, trust me, the fact that you're acting pro bono for your son in an action that you're bringing against him is the least of my concerns right now. We've got a number of issues we need to flesh out." And I'm going, oh, this is taking a really bizarre turn, because things are usually really quite straightforward and quite dry and, you know, serious. And he says, "The first thing I want to discuss with you is that I can see from the papers here that you've actually stamped your own stamp as a barrister and solicitor for your son and for yourself on these papers, but you've been struck off as a solicitor. You were disbarred, Mr. Wing." And he says, "Yes, that's right, Your Honour, but in Singapore I'm still practising, and that stamp is from Singapore. And when I'm in Singapore, I can use that stamp. And that the ink is from, the whole stamp is from Singapore." And he said, "I'm not concerned where the origin of the ink is from on these papers. What I'm telling you is, when you have been disbarred, it means you do not file any papers for yourself or your son as a barrister or a solicitor. Do you understand me?" He said, "Yes, Your Honour." So then I think at this point the judge decided to hear the matter, because you're sort of left in this awkward position where if you don't give him 15 minutes of court time, you have this situation where he'll probably sue the judge, he'll probably sue me, probably sue the Constitution, the Queen. Like, you get these vexatious litigants and they're just literally going to sue anything that moves. So the judge is like, "All right, Mr. Wing, I'll hear from you. Take your seat back at your end, and then I'll hear from you when you need to respond on behalf of your son. So he shuffles back. And at this point, I'm like starting to struggle to keep a straight face. Anyway, he goes back and he starts his matter and he goes, "Your Honour, the first submission I'd like to make is that there has been a grave miscarriage of justice. I signed a bank statement for my son for his mortgage and it was fraudulently put to me and I had no idea what I was signing." And he starts like getting more and more passionate. And he's looking to me to kind of deliver his thing and I'm sort of doing this and, you know, sort of going, "Oh, the jaw's feeling really sore today and I can't look," because it's just so, it's so confronting and so intense. And then I see these arms flapping up the back and there's no one else in the courtroom, but at the back there's like a box, a glass box where the transcriber is trying to pick up his voice, but he's motioning to me and I see he's sort of going, he's wearing, like Mr. Wing's actually wearing a hearing aid and it's tripping up the microphone. So this sound starts coming on and I'm watching him and I'm going, "Please don't," I'm thinking to the transcript guy who's going, can you tell him to turn the hearing aid down? Every time I went to look at him, I just nearly lost it. And the sound's getting more and more intense. So I went to drink a little bit of water and then just dribble started coming out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm going to spit this whole thing of water out. So I literally flung my pen in the air, watched it drop and then dove under the bench. And the judge is going, Madam Associate. And he's looking around and he can see at this point the pandemonium in the back and Mr. Wing's just at this point at fever pitch, so he's shouting because he can hear, he's trying to hear over the and there's been a conspiracy theory and the bank are also involved. And oh my gosh, and all of a sudden the judge goes, Mr. Wing, stop. And there's a silence and then I hear this, Madam Associate. And I am in a fetal position underneath the thing. And you know when you start laughing and you can't actually, I couldn't, there was no way I was getting back up. I couldn't actually even move one limb. And then I realised this whole show is now waiting for me and this is the role that I'm supposed to be doing. But I am totally missing in action. So the judge just said, right, Mr. Wing, I think we're going to call a brief adjournment for 15 minutes. That'll give you time to prep your son's defence. It's been very compelling thus far. So we'll call a 15-minute, and could you just turn down the hearing aid, thanks? Anyway, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose my job. That is just unacceptable behaviour at the Supreme Court. Utterly unacceptable. So I get up, scrape myself off the floor, and the judge is waiting for me. And he was like, what the devil went on just there? I said, I am so sorry. That is the most unprofessional moment you will ever see me have if I survive today. It will never happen again. And I thought he was furious, but he suddenly went, I couldn't believe it. I thought we were being punked. I've been here for 30 years. I've never seen anything like it. And I was like, right, good stuff. So glad we're on the same page with that, because I just found that absolutely outrageously hilarious. Anyway, I realised at that moment that everything had come together. I didn't need to go for an audition to rake. I was in the best theatre show in town with a front row seat every day, and I got paid for it. Thank you.